Let's get to our first topic now, though. Bins. Should we pay more to throw away more? This is a suggestion by campaigners to introduce a scheme where we pay by weight for our rubbish. Pay as you throw, as some put it. It's how they do it already in other places, including the Netherlands. We actually dabbled with this back in 2005 with a trial in South Norfolk. You might even remember that. Maybe that's where you're from. Let us know how it went. At the time, though, it was scrapped because the technology wasn't up to scratch. Now the group Business Waste says it deserves a second look. They argue it can lower bills, cut waste and encourage us all to be more eco-friendly. Would it make you cut down on your waste? Or now, as we are in the 7 bins era, is it another way to penalise people who can't help but make more waste? JJ. Which one? Is it fair, or does it penalise some people more than others?
If you've got a family of 5, you're going to have more waste than a family of 2. So then I'm going to be penalised for having children, having to have more food and having to throw more things away. What it's going to do is going to make a lot of people say, screw this, I'm not doing that, I'm just going to go and fly tip. I'll take my rubbish and I'll just dump it somewhere else instead. That's what it's going to lead to. Why would you charge people who have more waste more money? I'm already paying council tax. So what's my council tax going towards? If you're going to say to me the council's now going to charge me extra money for taking away more of my bins, then give me a discount on my council tax.
Having more children is a choice. And with it comes cost. It does, naturally. You've got more mouths to feed. If you don't take on those costs and understand those costs, you are creating more waste, which somebody has to deal with.
So then why are we all paying the same amount of council tax? So if I had 3 kids and JJ...
You don't pay council tax on the number of children you have. You have council tax based on your property, don't you?
No, in my borough, everyone pays the same level of council tax. Depending on how many people are living in your home, I think it's £250 in my borough. So whether I've got 5 people in my house or whether I've got 2 people, we're still paying £250 a month for council tax. Why should I then have to pay more money to have my bins taken away when I'm already paying the council to take my bins away?
But isn't that missing the point about this, which is to try and educate everyone and to be better about waste? And the fact is, the knock-on effect by bringing this into play means retailers will use less packaging. We will stop ordering everything online and we'll actually go in and revive town centres by shopping there, using our own bags when we go shopping. And we think about what we purchase. You talk about throwing food away. Well, don't. Go and buy enough food for the meals. Plan a bit better. Don't throw food waste away. Get a compost bin so it doesn't go in the normal waste.
Isn't that fine for those families, for those people who live in areas where there are shops that do all that already, where you have those choices? The reality is that a lot of families live in areas where there is food deprivation, food poverty, and they're not able to make those choices. Their food comes the way it's presented to them.
But this allows us to push back on those people that supply that food. It allows us to push back on the retailers who, when you go in and you get your tomatoes wrapped up in, a bit of cardboard underneath and plastic on top, just stop it. I think this will have a really positive impact on how retailers present food and other opportunities, things that we purchase, because there's just you buy something from Amazon these days, you could build yourself another little house in the garden for the kids.
But then how does this penalise Amazon or Tesco or Sainsbury's? It's not pushing the cost to them, it's pushing the cost onto us. If I need to order something from Amazon, I'm going to have to order it regardless. If I have to pay extra to then have my bins taken out, it's not going to stop Amazon from...
Or pop into a shop on your way home from work or when you're dropping the kids off at school. There are other options. And convenience shouldn't be top of the list for absolutely everything. We've got to think about our environment. At the moment, we've got landfill that is overflowing with stuff that could have easily been recycled. I think it's not just the case of pay as you throw, but we have to rethink everything that we do when it comes to waste in this country, because we just aren't good enough. And what Europe has shown us is it works there and it changes a mindset.
Have you got the means in your house to weigh your rubbish, Joanna?
No,
I'm not sure I do.
Well,
I don't know how I'd start
what they're
to do
saying
that.
is that I think they put your wheelie bin, it has a chip in it, it goes on the back of the dust cart, they weigh it as they tip it in, and that is how much you're paying for.
But you don't know before it gets there how much it weighs and how much you might be costing.
But wouldn't it focus your mind, though, about what you're chucking away?
I've got enough to think about, I think. I don't know if this is another thing that's too much. I already do the bins and I already resent it. Let's take some calls, see if Maria feels the same. She's in Portsmouth. What do you think? Does this make sense to you, Maria?
Can I to say to your lovely lady on the panel, you're talking absolute nonsense. I live in a house. I mean that in a polite way, not in a rude way to you.
That's how it's taken, Maria.
Oh, sorry. But what she's saying comes across very nonsensical to whoever's going to be watching this. When you live in a house I live in a house that has lots of people, all different age groups, and I say that as a mum with teenagers, 20-year-olds to a 10-year-old. We have all sorts that are going in our bin. We do as much as we can, and we watch what we're putting in there. But there are, unfortunately, the cost of that, because the cost of everything now has gone up and gone up and gone up. And that's due to the government, not to actually what people are wasting.
Maria, what is it specifically about what Joanna was saying that you find unrealistic, that you couldn't do? Because you are creating more waste, and therefore you're creating the cost that's associated with that.
Well, I am not creating more waste because I'm taking it from a supermarket where I'm paying an overpriced amount of money for food. So surely it should then go back to that supermarket. They get it packaged and they get it done very cheaply abroad, and the way they get it packaged and everything else, and they pay very poorly to the people that do it for them. Maybe we should go after the supermarkets then.
Well, what I think, Joanna, tell me if I'm wrong here, is saying that by doing this, you will make other choices. You'll shop elsewhere that doesn't have that packaging. Those that are over-packaging and creating this cost for you will lose your custom. So it will work from the bottom up to persuade them to create less waste in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's an easy solution.
Okay. I feel like we've gone 180 degrees there, Maria, and you're kind of agreeing now with Joanna. Is that right?
I am, but it's the way she's coming across about it that I'm disagreeing with her.
Okay.
The way she's talking to other people about how they're wasting stuff and this, that and the other, and in her tonnage is wrong. Unfortunately, we live in a society where a lot of people will waste things and don't appreciate what they have. We live in a society like that. And there was at one point in life I was like that. Due to personal circumstances now, I have to watch every single penny that comes into my house. So I have to watch what I spend my money on very, very carefully.
Okay.
And so I can't go out and do a nice big supermarket shop and spread it out and then waste it and put it all in a dustbin. I've got to eat every single bit of food. We have to eat it because that's all we can afford. We're on the breadline.
Well, that means you're not creating waste. So just in doing that, by making the most of the food you've got, you're achieving your aims. I'm going to come back to you, Joanne. It sounds like Maria kind of likes what you were saying, but not necessarily the way you were saying it.
Oh, I'm sorry if that's the case, Maria. I mean, my heart goes out to you. Living on the breadline and thinking about managing every meal is tough, really tough, and I wish you well on that. And I know as well, living in a flat is really hard to actually be able to manage your waste, which is why I think we need a wholesale review of how we do our waste management in this country. Yeah, right. Because while those want to recycle and they want to use less waste, it becomes impossible. But I agree with you, Maria. We need to push back on big supermarkets and say to them, listen, you keep it. Do what I do. I go back to the supermarket with my whatever packaging I've got and say, right, you recycle it.
Definitely. Let's take another call. Grace is in London. Grace, what do you reckon about this pay as you throw idea? You create the waste, you pay for it.
I think that it makes sense for the amount people are charged to be connected to how much they're throwing away. I think it could encourage us to be less wasteful, and that's really important. The phrase food poverty was mentioned, and I'm conscious that there are parts of our world where there literally is no food. People are really, really starving. And here we've been encouraged to think it's normal to kind of get takeaways. And I mean, I don't get takeaways myself, but it's normal to do so and throw away a lot unnecessarily. And so to have us think more consciously about the impact on our planet of some of the things that consumerism has lulled us into buying unnecessarily, I think could be really good. We don't want more and more and more going to landfill. We don't want more and more impact on the planet. And people like your last caller, hopefully, should actually have their bills, I would have thought, reduced slightly, because if you're wasting less, then you'll be charged less than the people who are wasting more. So I think it's really good to
it's one way
encourage
to look
more
at it, Grace, but then we'd need that reduction in our council tax, wouldn't we, to represent that, because everybody would just be paying more over the top. Let's take another call. Thanks for your call, Grace. Alfonso's in Birmingham. Would you pay as you throw, Alfonso?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really a good idea, but practically, there's people that live in shared houses. How do they account for their waste? There's lots of places where there's terrace houses, communal areas, and people will start putting their waste in other people's bins. I mean, personally, I could have a bin collection every 2 months, but often I find my bin full because other people put stuff in my bin. So are we going to get locks? I think we're just overcomplicating things. And again, it's going to lead to a lot more fly tipping.
Yeah. Alfonso, just update us. Are you getting your rubbish collected in Birmingham at the moment?
Yes, at the moment, even though last week it was a Saturday delivery.
OK. I mean, this is what I worry about, JG, is that it's hard enough as it is at the moment, isn't it? It's complex enough. People are complaining about the number of bins they have. You add this other layer of technology, that might be just too much for people, and they will start fly tipping.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what I'm saying. I think people will start fly tipping. A lot of people, and Birmingham is basically my hometown, and we've had horrendous things with the council. Our council's gone bankrupt. You hear people on the council who are being paid in excess of £100,000, but they can't yet organise for simple bin collection to be happening. So then the people who can afford to then have their bins collected privately through private firms, it's fine for them. And those kind of people who can afford that, this won't affect them. If they can afford to have the bins collected privately, they can afford to pay as they throw. But from the majority of people in this country, the working class people, we are already on the breadline. We are already struggling. Most of us are living month to month. And that's it. So then we pay our council tax, and then the council say to us, currently, if you want your garden waste taken away, you've got to pay extra for that. What are we paying for then? If you want us to continue pay add-on after add-on after add-on. So people will say, well, I can't afford to pay it, let me just throw it in the canal.
It becomes a form of drip pricing, doesn't it, eventually? It's like the add-ons, the stuff that people need, suddenly we're paying over and above for that. Well, listen, we have to move on. Thanks to Alfonso and to all of for your calls there.